everyone. So good evening. We are back yet again for our 6 p.m. session. So how is it going? I hope everyone has started the phase 1, people who are participated in the 10 weeks of Yuktahaar project. And we are, as you know, as mentioned yesterday, we are going to talk about the 3 F's of phase 1. So this is the topic for today. हम लोग phase 1 के 3 F's के बारे में बात करने वाले हैं. अब ये 3 F's क्या हैं? जिन लोगों ने किताब पढ़ी है, and I'm assuming कि participants जो हैं इस प्रोजेक्ट के, उन्होंने ये किताब या तो पढ़ चुकी है या उन लोग पढ़ रहे हैं. So they know what the 3 F's are. The 3 F's are basically foods to forget, foods to eat few, and the foods that you will favor. So that's the 3 F's. So that's the forget, that's the few, and that's favor, right? So again, now I'm not getting into the details कि ये forget list में क्या है and few में क्या है and favor में क्या है. I'm not getting into the details because those details are there in the book. It is there in chapter 5. There's a table 9 and it's in page 144. So people who are still reading the book, probably they are in the first 1 or 2 chapters. They can straight away hop on over there and check the list, check the table कि उसमें क्या क्या foods included है. Okay, so the reason why I have written forget in a very bigger size, the font, then compared to few and favor, is because today I am going to actually emphasize and discuss more about the food to forget in phase 1. So that is something that I am going to talk about today. Okay, so firstly मेरे को ये बताना बहुत ज़रूरी है कि जो foods to forget हैं. So what are those foods? As I said, those are in the book. So there's gluten and there's lactose and there are other things which you can read. But what I just want to emphasize right now is that ये जो foods to forget हैं, these are not the foods which are actually bad. क्यों मैं आपको बोल रही हूँ कि आप phase 1 में इसको restrict करिए? इसका कारण ये नहीं कि oh they are horrible food and this is how media works and this is how usually people ask कि अच्छा gluten तो is bad, no, we should not eat gluten, right? अच्छा milk is bad, no, milk नहीं लेना चाहिए, right? So I want you to get over these concepts, because when it comes to food, it is not about कि ये अच्छा है ये बुरा है. This is not how things work. It depends on where you are right now, where you are in, with respect to your health. So that is why I wanted to just clarify this, that none of the food which is mentioned in the forget list in the book, none of these foods are actually bad. इनमें से कुछ भी ये नहीं है कि खराब है. In fact, जो phase 1 में forget list के जो foods हैं, उनमें से बहुत सारे food हम phase 2 में reintroduce कर देंगे. And phase 3, which is your lifelong phase, उसमें तो all your foods get included. So everything gets reintroduced, which is as an evidence it becomes clear that it's not that I am telling you कि ये foods खराब हैं और इनको आप permanently अपने life से हटा दो. That is not what the book promotes. Then why are we restricting them in phase 1? Again, there's a very detailed explanation in the book, but I'll just shorten it up here. I'll just summarize कि ये phase 1 में इसीलिए restricted हैं, इसलिए नहीं क्योंकि ये खराब हैं, but इसलिए because they do not align with the goals of phase 1. Phase 1 के goals क्या हैं? Phase 1 के goals are very clear. Phase 1 के goals हैं healing, cleansing, detoxification and removal of all the bad inflammatory molecules, the bad microbes which are there in the gut. उनके removal को ही phase 1 का goal है. And it is important that we understand that the forget list के जो foods हैं, they do not align with this goal, क्योंकि उनमें से list में से कुछ food ऐसे हैं, कुछ ingredients ऐसे हैं which will actually help feed your inflammatory molecules, the bad bacteria. So it just then makes sense कि कुछ दिन तक, जब तक हम phase 1 कर रहे हैं, जब तक हम cleansing का काम कर रहे हैं, तब तक हम ये food को एक बार restrict कर दें, and then of course we can bring it back later to our lives when our microbiome is much more balanced, when the population of good bacteria is much more than the bad ones. Firstly, अगर आप ये सोच रहे हैं कि मुझे कैसे पता चलेगा कि मेरा microbiome out of balance है या फिर मेरे bad microbes ज़्यादा हैं and all those stuff, because they might sound very माथे के ऊपर की चीज, but if you really read the book, if you go into chapter 2, there's a complete laundry list of symptoms ranging from acne to stubborn weight gain, कितनी भी कोशिश करे पर weight weight lose होता ही नहीं है, that weight gain which has happened is stubborn, or metabolic issues, or insomnia, brain fog, a complete list is there. So which will help you understand where you stand and why you should be doing this 3-phased program. So as I said, according to the goals of phase 1, because we want to make the most use of phase 1, we are restricting these foods only for the time being. The second reason, ये जो list है इसमें से कुछ food हम इसलिए भी restrict कर रहे हैं because in phase 1 what we are doing is हम अपने cleansing को और detoxification को priority दे रहे हैं. And because we want to give that a priority, what we need to do is we need to lighten the load. We need to simplify our meal so that the load on the digestive system will lighten up ho jaye. And that is the reason again we avoid certain foods only for phase 1, just to ensure that the foods that we are eating are quite light and they are not difficult to digest. Again, those foods are not foods which I have randomly selected. Those foods which we are calling as difficult to digest in this table, in table 9, are foods which have been either told by modern science or Ayurveda or a combination of both, that they have been found to be little difficult to digest, and that is the reason हम उसे 2 हफ्तों के लिए phase 1 में restrict करते हैं. But a lot of them will be brought back in phase 2, and phase 3 में तो you are eating everything, so it's all cool. So this is one point that I wanted to bring about in this discussion. The other thing what I really wanted to speak about is that a lot of people come to me and say कि मैंने तो gluten छोड़ दिया है, मैंने तो मतलब बहुत दिनों से छोड़ दिया है, but there is no improvement in my health, there is no weight loss happening, मैंने ये भी छोड़ दिया, मैंने वो भी छोड़ दिया है. So बहुत लोग बहुत कुछ छोड़ देते हैं. It's very common to see nowadays. But a lot of people do come to me and tell me कि in spite of leaving everything, कुछ भी improvement नहीं है, ना ही health में, ना ही कोई digestive symptoms में, ना ही weight loss में. So why is that happening? Because this is a very common question and I thought I should address this. So here the analogy I bring is that अगर आपके और आपके spouse के बीच में कुछ problems चल रही है, तो आपने डिसाइड किया कि चलो आई एलिमिनेट माई सेल्फ, विच मीन्स कि मैं एक बार शिफ्ट हो जाता हूँ दूसरे रूम में, एंड आप दूसरे रूम में शिफ्ट हो जाते हैं, यू स्टार्ट स्लीपिंग इनटू अनदर रूम. तो क्या ये मैजिकली आप दोनों के बीच के प्रॉब्लम्स को रिजॉल्व कर देता है? थिंक अबाउट इट. नहीं करता है, राइट? So what ideally should be done is that yes, if there are frictions happening between the partners, then yes, probably because each of you need a space, तो वो space देने के लिए it's a good idea to shift out of the room for the time being. But जब आप room से बाहर हैं for those 1 or 2 nights, in the meanwhile you need to discuss your issues with your partner, right? You need to sort that out, or whatever the tricks are. Married people know better, but whatever it is, you need to sort that out. And then once that's sorted, you need to reintroduce yourself back to the room. Otherwise, it's not going to be a sustainable, happy marriage. You cannot expect a sustainable marriage to happen, a life-long partnership to happen if you both are, constantly into different rooms. So the same way, it is not about कि मैंने ये छोड़ दिया और मैंने ये eliminate कर दिया, मैंने इसको अपने life से बाहर कर दिया, now the problems will magically disappear. Nothing is going to magically disappear, and that is the reason why a lot of people leave gluten, they leave everything, but nothing really works for them still. It is because in the meanwhile, you then have to work on your issues. You have to work on your gut health, you have to work on your metabolism, you have to work on everything that the book talks about. And हम ये कैसे करेंगे? Again, it's there in the book through the 7 TBBD meal planning guidelines जो हमने कल डिस्कस किया था, through the 3 hours of TBBD जो हमने कुछ दिन पहले डिस्कस किया था, through those herbal supplements which we discussed day before yesterday. So through everything that is there in the book, we are actually in the meanwhile also working on a lot of things. So it is just not about कि मैंने ये छोड़ दिया, मैंने ये forget list को मैंने ये छोड़ दिया and now everything is going to be hunky dory अपने आप. ऐसा कुछ नहीं होने वाला है, and that is the one point that we need to be very, very clear about. So that is one thing. The other thing I wanted to explain was how are you going to use this forget list. because a lot of people have written to me once the book was out and released and people reading it, and a lot of people have asked me ki are you have not mentioned about palak, so can I put palak in my khichdi in phase 1? You have not mentioned about methi, so can I put methi patta in my khichdi in phase 1? And so the Uttaran is there coming, Makar Sankranti is coming, so we got few messages where people were asking ki what about the til gul laddu, can I have that in phase 1? I'm doing the phase 1. So ये जो confusions है कि क्या मैं ये खा सकता हूँ phase 1 में, क्या मैं ये खा सकती हूँ phase 1 में, so I just want to put all those confusions to rest. The way you have to go about this, the way you have to navigate this list is that whenever there is any food in your mind, so let's for example take the til gur laddu, because there's a festival tomorrow and people are doing phase 1, so we should talk about that. तो तिल गुड़ लड्डू की अगर हम बात करें, so first think about the ingredients, क्या है उसमें, तिल and गुड़, right? Then go and check the forget list. Forget list में तिल है, नहीं है. Forget list में jaggery है, नहीं है, which means that you can have the til gud laddu. The same is with moody ka laddu or the murmura laddu, which is called puffed rice, which again is eaten during this festival. Puffed rice forget list में है, नहीं है. Jaggery है, नहीं है, which means you can go ahead with the laddu as well. So what I just want to say is कि don't be too don't make this very complicated. आपको because see honestly it's not possible for me to write hundreds and thousands of ingredients in this table, and even more thousands and lakhs of recipes and tell you about these phases in the book. That is actually humanly not possible. So it's very simple and straightforward कि forget list में जो ingredients हैं वो ingredients को के अलावा except these ingredients you can use any ingredient and make your own meal. So if you really do want to consume a meal जो chapter 10 में phase 1 के meal plan में जो options है उनके अलावा भी आपको कुछ अगर consume करना है, and if you're thinking that whether this is allowed in phase 1 or not, then simply check the ingredients of what you want to eat. And if those ingredients are not mentioned in the forget list, then you are, most welcome to go ahead and eat it. Just refer to the 7 TBBD meal planning guidelines which we discussed yesterday, so that you have a fair idea कि किस time पे इस चीज को खाना best होता है, and you are there. So it's very easy for you to have your own meal plans, to create your own meals, create your own recipes, and you will be able to sail through phase 1 just like that. It will be really, really easy. Okay, now just one last question I want to address before I leave. It is this कि बहुत लोग पूछ रहे हैं कि अगर मैंने phase 1 में forget list में से कुछ खा लिया, I was out and I was with a friend and for whatsoever reason, कुछ भी reason हो सकता है, पर मैंने ये phase 1 के जो forget list है उसमें से कुछ मैंने खा लिया. So what do I do now? क्या मुझे phase 1 फिर से repeat करना होगा? So firstly, take a deep breath. आपको कुछ नहीं करना है. You don't have to go on repeating phase 1. खा लिया, forget about it. Just start doing the same, following the phase 1, following the forget list from the next morning as if nothing happened. So don't worry about these one-off what do I say? One-off mistakes. I don't even want to call it a mistake, but one-off things that may happen during those 2 weeks of phase 1. You don't have to really beat yourself up for it. So हो गया तो हो गया. Don't think too much about it. And also what I want to say is that the more you adhere, the more you stick to the phase 1 forget list की जो forget list है उसमें से जितनी ज़्यादा आप कोशिश करें, it's better, it's going to serve you better. You will see a lot of changes in your body composition, you will see a lot of changes in your health faster. So what I can just say is that give your best. This is not some law, कोई constitutional Indian law नहीं है जिसको अगर आपने break कर दिया तो मैं आपको पकड़ के I'll punish you. So nothing of that sort. But the best you give your best, make your best efforts, and the more you try, the better results will happen. So that is it. I want to talk about this before I wind up. Is how our mind functions. Again, a bit of what I have learned from my teachers of Vedanta and yoga. कि हमारा जो mind है ना, for example, I'll just tell you one exercise. So people who are watching me live, just do this exercise with me. कि आप अभी just close your eyes and I tell you कि think of any fruit. Okay, close your eyes and think of any fruit other than apple. So what is the first fruit that came to your mind? For 99% of the people, उनके दिमाग में सबसे पहले एप्पल आएगा, because that is how our mind functions. हम अपने माइंड को कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते. दिस इज अ फैक्ट. दिस इज द नेचर ऑफ ह्यूमन माइंड. वी कैन नॉट टेल आवर माइंड टू नॉट थिंक दिस. जैसे ही हम बोलेंगे कि थिंक ऑफ समथिंग अदर देन एप्पल, योर माइंड विल ओनली थिंक ऑफ एप्पल. सो दिस इज द नेचर ऑफ ह्यूमन माइंड कि आप जो बोलोगे कि ये मत करो, माइंड उसी के बारे में सोचेगा. सो व्हेन आई एम टेलिंग यू कि ये फॉरगेट लिस्ट है, इनको फॉरगेट करो, it is very natural for your mind to think of all the cakes and pastries and ice creams in the world, right? My Vedanta teacher tells me that, you know, our human mind, it's like a monkey. Can you tame a monkey? Can you tell the monkey कि इधर बैठो और वो बैठ जाएगा? Can you expect the monkey that the monkey is going to obey you? No, right? The monkey is going to jump and, you know, do whatever it wants. The same is with our mind. It's going to jump at, you know, 20 places and it's not going to obey you. So no matter how hard you tell ki, you know, don't think about ice creams and don't think about this, it is going to think about that. So what we can do as human, what is there in our hands is our intellect. You know, it's our you know, our buddhi, our intellect, which is there, which we are gifted with, and that is what we can use. That is something that we can use to tell our mind that, hey, this is what you're thinking, but I choose to ignore you. So that is what, you know, human beings, as human beings, we are gifted with this intellect. So we can, with practice, train ourselves to, you know, kind of tell us that, you know, this is a thought, this is an emotion, this is something that my mind is thinking, but I can choose to nourish this thought or ignore this thought. So if this thought is beneficial for me, for my health, then I will nourish this thought. If it is not, I can safely ignore it. So with this kind of you know, attitude, you are going to strengthen your free will, your intellect, and you are going to make much better decisions in life, not only in terms of food, but in terms of a lot of many other things. So that is what I want to tell you. I want to end this session with this note कि you know, you may think of a lot of things during these 2 weeks. Your mind will go on telling you कि, you know, वही खाओ जो यहाँ forget list में है. But use this method to tell your mind कि मुझे ये nourish करना है इस thought को, क्या ये मेरे लिए अच्छा है या फिर मुझे इस thought को ignore कर देना चाहिए. And I will assure you that you will be in a much better place than, you know, what you are right now. So with this, I end this session and I look forward to a lot of your stories about what you're cooking, how you're doing, and how exciting your phase 1 is, and also what kind of changes you see in yourself. Okay, so questions now.
Yes, ma'am. Can we consume all nuts, seeds and dry fruits in phase 1?
Okay, again, so nuts, seeds and dry fruits, क्या ये forget list में है? नहीं है. So boss, you can eat it. Right? So make it very simple. As I said, अगर कुछ forget list में नहीं है, इसका मतलब आप खा सकते हो. Okay.
Can we have black coffee in phase 1?
Yes, of course you can have black coffee in phase 1. Again, as I said, coffee forget list में नहीं है. So ना ही शक्कर forget list में है. So please go ahead and have it. The only thing what we need to remember here is the 3 R's, which is the right quality. So ensure कि आपका जो शक्कर है, it's unrefined शक्कर, it's either khand or, you know, that unrefined shakkar which is not gone through a lot of refining and it's not very, you know, crystal white in color.
Are we not supposed to eat any root vegetables in phase 1?
So the root vegetables जो phase 1 में avoid करने हैं, please refer to this table 9, page 144, chapter 5. It is mentioned clearly कि कौन कौन से vegetables हैं जो आपको avoid करने हैं. और जैसा मैंने आपको बताया अभी सेशन के बिगिनिंग में, ये सारे वेजिटेबल्स जो मैंने मेंशन किए हैं टेबल में जो बुक में है, वो सिर्फ इसी वजह से आपको अवॉइड करना है बिकॉज एज पर आयुर्वेदा दीज वेजिटेबल्स आर डिफिकल्ट फॉर द बॉडी टू डाइजेस्ट and going by the aim of phase 1, we do not want to eat things which are heavy for digestion for the body only for these 2 weeks. But will you be able to reintroduce them after 2 weeks in phase 2? Yes. So it is not lifelong.
Which whey protein can we consume for post-workout? Does it have to be vegan in phase 1?
No, it doesn't have to be vegan. Okay, so that's a good question. It needed a little explanation, so I'll tell you. So whey protein जो होता है, there are different ways, right? So there is a whey isolate, there is a whey concentrate. So all those forms are there. अब phase 1 में आप whey isolate ले सकते हैं, which in fact is mentioned in the book. Again, if you please go back to this table, I'm just clearing the way so that you can read the board. But whey isolate जो है वो आप ले सकते हैं phase 1 में, for the simple reason is whey isolate is carb free, which means it's lactose free. So there is no lactose in it, so there is no need for you to go to a vegan protein alternative. You can just go for a whey isolate, because हम phase 1 में जो restrict कर रहे हैं वो actually lactose है. We are not trying to go vegan in phase 1. Remember, phase 1 में ghee is actually a food to favor. Food to favor जब मैं discuss करूँगी तब हम लोग उस पे आएंगे. But remember, ghee is something that you favor in phase 1. So we are not following a vegan diet at all. And therefore you don't need to do anything vegan. But what you need to do is go lactose free. Ghee is naturally lactose free. Whey isolate is naturally lactose free. So you can go ahead and consume them. Okay, any more questions? I think I can wind it up. Okay, thank you so much, and do keep me posted on your progress, and I want to see you cooking and making and eating and having fun in phase 1. See you tomorrow. Thank you.